Good evening, family. How are you? February 17th, of course. Happy birthday, Michael Jordan. This is just kind of a touch-in. I hope everybody's doing okay. Like I said, February 17th, you fire horse people, and well, I guess essentially that's all of us, but aficionados, champions of that sort of knowledge, right? That's not what this is about. So, for those of you who don't know, real quick, this is what I learned about this whole, death and legacy thing. It doesn't take a lot to respect when somebody has made the transition, regardless of what they look like. The problem that a lot of people have is they internalize how they feel about someone, and then they try and cast judgment on their whole life, right? So to transpose that to my point, rest in peace, Jesse Jackson. Now, you might not have, like I said, liked or approved or favored Jesse Jackson, but you can't just go in a timeline and, I'll just be brief, shit on his legacy. Or not even his legacy, what he represented symbolically. You know what I mean? I told a younger cat I was speaking to today earlier, I said, if Martin Luther King was Michael Jordan, then freaking Jesse Jackson would be Pippen. You know what I'm saying? You can't mention certain legacies or certain eras and then disrespect the people they were comprised of. This goes for sports, hip-hop, even politics, even any system that left a mark on a particular time period. You can't really hate on it. And what I've noticed is that so many people have this real childish, petty, annoying reflex to say, oh, you hating, oh, you hating, oh, you hate. Or the other end of that seesaw would be, I ain't like him, I didn't like him, so I'm gonna disrespect his damn death. I can't stand when people do that, and I trust and believe that that's none of you, but that's part of a greater desensitizing to just death in general, but again, that's not what this is about. This is about, I just wanted to say rest in peace to Jesse Jackson. As far as that just, it sparked a certain question in my brain, and this is a brief video, but I'm gonna bring it to your attention. The term African American, some people despise it, some people cry over it, some people don't like it, whatever. The term was coined, as we know, by now the ancestor Jesse Jackson. And I don't care if he was in politics or if he was in certain groups and all this and that, he still represents an ancestor. That's what y'all gotta stop doing. Stop picking and choosing. Well, you do that with everything, but stop picking and choosing when it comes to people's lives and the work they did. Because half of y'all hating on what Jesse Jackson did and all, whatever thread of conspiracy you want to go down, y'all wouldn't do, I'd wager you wouldn't do a tenth of the work that he did. And if you must know, we share the same birthday. So that's why I'm we do share the same birthday. But my point is, stop judging people, especially once they've gone beyond the veil. It's really, it's not good juju, all right? Now, he coined the term African American. And as we know, I can't believe I'm saying this, God works in mysterious ways. Universe, source, spirit, all that, right? What if this death is a unofficial beacon to bring in something else? I hope you get what I'm trying to say. Some people, especially with the advent of gematria and this explosion of all this knowledge and people just sitting back all day, grabbing their bottle or grabbing their paraphernalia and just looking up all kinds of research, and it's so sloppy. They're just inundated with so much trivia, and then they get emotional, and then the bias, and it's almost like a system. Those scientists are real, but you can't just apply it to everything and then get mad when it doesn't work, or get mad when it doesn't apply to like every single particle of life. Alright? So again, before I get to the last part, what if the passing of the man who created the term African American is part of like a greater emergence of just a new age in general? See how I describe that without being pro this and pro that and emotional and all this shit? I'm just saying, like, objectively, symbolically, it represents the passing of an old age. That's all I'm saying. Now, the last point I want to make concerning now the ancestor, Jesse Louis Jackson, is, guys, everybody who dies is not some supreme, never-ending conspiracy of death. That's another thing people are desensitized to. This element of sacrifice and death. We're not even going to go down that street because we know what we've been exposed to as far as the internet, right? We don't even need to talk about it. But to say that every significant person that passes away, black, white, Latina, Asian, whatever you are, the world over, is part of some, like I said, never-ending, ever-unfolding conspiratorial effort, that's complete nonsense. Some people get old. Some people, I was going to say accumulate, but you know what I mean, contract certain illnesses. Some people party forever and their body catches up with them. What do you want me, like, you can't just say, okay, they died on Tuesday, so a person who they were beefing with, who was an Aries, who's ruled by Mars, killed them. You can't say that. You don't know. The truth is, you really don't know. And I think it's massively disrespectful. And this is coming from a person who, I enjoy numbers, I enjoy codes, ciphers, piercing the veil, freaking, some people think occult is a scary word, with an O, right? The hidden sciences, all this stuff. I get it. I understand. I know the torch that it starts to churn inside. And I also know how when you've been disposed to another system of knowledge, I know how enticing it is to run your mouth. And even if you stay quiet, you run your brain and you condition yourself to attach to certain things that you don't know all the way. Right? So again, you can do what you want to do, but just think about how, I don't even want to put that on anybody, but, let's say a famous so-called white celebrity passes, right? And then a white mega pastor passes, and then a freaking, legendary rapper or somebody. One of those people, or two, or even all three, might have just simply died. Like, it's not always, all right, go in there, Ozzy Osbourne, now, okay, Hulk Hogan, now, okay, Malcolm Jamal Warner, okay. Now, we do know certain circumstances can be suspicious, but even with that, you still don't have concrete proof of things. All right? So again, this is just to say, rest in peace, Jesse Jackson. What if the term African American and the literal physical source of that was passing? What if that represents a new age? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, who's right, who's wrong? I study things like that, chronologies, ages, times pass on, and things like that. And we're in a 1 year too, so it's just everything about it is just aligning with a new age, or you could call a prescribed unknown. Okay, so that was that. Robert Duvall as well, rest in peace. Very memorable actor, especially if you're like real into films and you don't let silly things like race and, whether you're street or not. You don't let that dictate the type of art you enjoy. Robert Duvall's a hell of an actor. Was a hell of an actor. Excuse me. So, and most importantly, everybody who leaves this realm or passes, or crosses the channel, as my cousin used to say, it's not some like intentional arrow from some mystical organization. All right, not all the time. Let's not be stupid, but come on, and then you break down the day they died on, and then because it's like a math formula. If that didn't happen correctly, then this didn't happen. It's like a ladder. So just be mindful when you're out here studying and decoding everything that goes on in the world, because sometimes Forrest Gump say shit happens.